She's already cutting up, guys.
Oh,
Welcome.
welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome back, everybody.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. You do it every week, but it's just, it's like the first time every time.
Man, it hits the spot.
It
Boom.
does. It feels like you're coming on home.
Right.
All right, guys, we are back this week with Child's Play 2.
All right.
All right. Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back, and this is my favorite of the franchise. Like
Mhm.
this takes top billing for me. Uh, and it also has some interesting backstory. So,
Yeah.
this one is actually directed by John LaFia, who's a friend of David Kirshner, and also was one of the co-writers on the first one. So he actually had something to do with the first one, but he stepped into the director's chair. He had done a few like smaller movies before this one.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then he also directed a couple episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, just some like lesser known things that he directed. But apparently it was like a better environment, and that's why we got the big sweeping shots. And they also decided to move it from, it's still set in Chicago, but they filmed in LA,
Mhm. Yep.
which is why it looks so much bigger and so much more open, so much more grand. And it was also his idea. Well, it was Don Mancini's idea in the original, the that shot in the warehouse, just the warehouse in general. But John LaFia actually brought it to life, and they actually brought that warehouse scene to
Mhm.
scale.
Mhm.
And one of the most awesome scenes in the franchise is that ending climactic scene. But of course, we've got Alex Vincent as Andy Barclay, and Brad Dorff has returned, of course, as Chucky. And then we have Christina Leese as Kyle. And Christina Leese was actually in Beverly Hills 90210.
Mhm.
So it was really cool to see that she had done some other projects um, as well as this. And she was in another horror movie as well. Let me just bring it up here because y'all know I gotta. She was in the 1993 version of Body Snatchers.
Oh, okay.
And she did a lot of TV. She's done Baywatch, 21 Jump Street. She did some Matlock, Beverly Hills 90210.
Okay.
Um,
So your girl be working.
yeah, she did Fantasy Island in '98. She's done ER. She's launched some episodes of Law and Order. She's an episode of Charmed. Like she consistently worked. Um, just in TV episode here and there. She was even in the episode of Hit the Floor. I don't know if anybody remembers that show. I love that show.
Oh my
She was in an
gosh.
episode of Hit the Floor.
Oh my gosh. That was such a good show.
It really was. VH1 that and Single Ladies.
Man, yes, and VH1, they be hit or miss, but
Yeah, they was in their bag.
their scripted shows wasn't too bad.
But
Wasn't too
yes,
bad
so
at all.
she's continuing to work, and her and Alex Vincent are in the Chucky TV series, which I think is awesome to see them back together as
Mhm.
this brother sister duo.
Yep, yep.
So this was the first movie that was released by Universal. So um, United Arts, which is owned by MGM now, but at the time United Arts released the first one,
Mhm.
and they were bought out by a different company at the time, not MGM, but a totally different company. And they didn't really want to deal with the horror franchise. So Universal picked up the franchise. And that's when we got that weird divide, which we'll get into when we get into the remake.
Mhm.
But this one, with the budget was 13 million, it made 35.8 million. It was released November 9th, 1990, which is literally 2 years
Mhm.
after the first film.
Exactly.
So I thought that was pretty cool. They actually worked more with animatronics, and even though Andy Barclay's mom, Mrs. Barclay, wasn't in the second movie, she was apparently on the set a lot because her husband was still working on it.
Mhm.
I alluded in the last episode that they had a court scene that they wanted to film with Detective Norris and Andy Barclay's mom, and it just didn't work out.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is it's one of my favorite films. I love how they expanded upon the universe, how they made Chucky even larger than life, is that you can even do that.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that they had Andy Barclay back as he's 8 in this movie
Mhm.
instead of 6. So with that being said, I'm gonna let May take it away. I know y'all be tired of hearing me talk all the time. So I need her to have a voice.
All right.
So we're gonna let her take this one away.
Yes. So yes, as Macy said, this movie picked up 2 years later. And we start off with seeing like the intro to this movie. I feel like was quite one of the best in this franchise
Mm-hmm.
because it shows literally Chucky's crisp doll being rebuilt from like scratch. Well, not really from scratch because you still see his like not skeleton, but his under armor is
Of
all like
course. I mean, it's technically a skeleton for
pretty
him.
much, so it's his foundation. Everything's being scraped off. We see that his face is being painted, new skin is put on, new eyeballs, everything's just being reconstructed. So after that, which is like I said, it's one of the best opening scenes in the franchise. I really enjoyed it. And then we go to PlayPal Corporation. And since it's been 2 years, they have dealt with the backlash of Andy Barclay's story. So everybody's talking. They are trying to find out what happened, what went wrong with this doll. So that's why it's being shipped right to there. They're manually putting this thing together. Like usually it's the dolls are put together on an assembly line, but this doll is literally brought there and they are like, hey, we got to run some tests on it, got to go to quality control. We got to see what's going on because these Andy Barclay rumors are really hurting our shareholders. They want to know what's going on because, of course, we know capitalism. Message.
Message.
So, yeah, all the shareholders, they want to know what is going on. What went wrong with this doll? So I'm assuming this guy is the CEO. He really could care less about Andy Barclay. Apparently, the Chicago police have refuted all claims that this was an evil doll.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Barclay's mom took the stand and was like, yeah, it really was the doll. And of course, they ship her right to the facility. And that was just the period end of Andy Barclay's mom making any comeback. They kind of subtly put that in there, like she ain't coming back.
Right.
So yeah, we we're at this facility, PlayPal Corp. So we see that they're putting the eyeballs in, the machine stops. And of course, this is the 90s, so of course you gotta bang something. To get stuff to work back in the day, you had to slap it a couple of times to get it to work.
I still do it to my remote. I
mean, it's some research behind it that it works. But somehow something gets like electrocuted. Like, I guess that is what kind of revives Chucky.
Of course, it's a 90s horror movie. You gotta have somebody electrocuted.
Yeah, the guy gets electrocuted. I mean, he is fried to a crisp. Now, did they say that he died? Because I counted it in my kill count. I was trying to have.
I always count it because
I mean, it seemed like he was dead. Like
he was kind of like smoky, like his face was all burnt. Like
yeah.
So I always count him as him being dead.
Yep. So kill count number 1. Poor guy that we don't know his name. He's dead, and Chucky is brought back to life. So the little assistant that's under the CEO, he's like, well, what do you want me to do with this dog? And the guy's like, I don't give a damn. Shove it up your ass. I don't care. Just get rid of it. In the pan, I like how the shots of Chucky, like the camera pans to him on the floor, on the side, giving that innocent face. But we know as viewers,
we know
he's alive. Yeah. So we fast forward, and now we see what Andy's been up to. He is in a facility that is, it's like a foster care facility until he gets to a foster family. And he's playing, he's doing what kids do. His little psychologist guy is talking to him about what happened. And Andy has stayed consistent that they're trying to say it was a dream. Andy's pretty consistent that this all happened. And the lady in the back, they're watching through a two-way mirror. Ladies in the back talking to a new foster family. And they were like, yeah, this is just temporary. We're looking for somewhere for him to go temporarily till his mom is released from the psychiatric place. And instantly, the husband does not seem like he is on it. And his name was Phil.
Phil's an asshole.
Phil and Joanne. Was it Joanne?
Yes, and Phil's an asshole.
Phil was definitely not feeling Andy, and he's just like, so what? Like, how did he deal with all this? Like, he's asking questions, and Joanne seems pretty optimistic. Like, hey, let's just, let's give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
So they take him, they drive him home, and they're giving him a little talk, and instantly this truck goes in front of them. And what truck is it? It's the Play Pal truck.
House.
And it goes like I really felt bad for Andy this whole entire movie because he literally could not get away from this trauma at
Yeah,
all.
and you know what? Going back to the foster lady who runs the facility, the scene where she's talking to his foster parents
Mm-hmm,
prospectively,
mm-hmm,
and you're right, Phil does ask like, well, how is he dealing with all of this? Because they
mm-hmm.
kind of allude to the fact that it was the mom
Yeah,
who did it.
yeah, yeah.
And she says, he does what any child does, which is, make up a story to cope with the reality of what's going on. So it's been pretty much shoved in our face at this point that all the adults believe that the story of Chucky is just his way of coping with whatever his mom was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So sad. Like just
Right?
from the beginning, Andy was so disregarded as not being believable.
But even when like you see him for the first time in that office, like
Mm-hmm.
his whole demeanor is different. Like
He's not. Yeah, he's
he
not the same bubbly 6-year-old that we met making breakfast for his mom.
yeah.
He is kind of sort of like on edge.
Yeah, he's like, it doesn't matter anyway. Nobody's gonna believe me. Like he's just so jaded at this point.
He is.
Like this is what he knows. This is what life is,
He is
and it's very melancholy.
very, very, very,
So
very.
I found that interesting that this Andy is 2 years later is very different,
Yeah, he's a
than
very different kid.
very different kid than the first Andy that we met.
Yep, yep. So we finally get to the foster parents' house.
That ugly house.
It was a very ugly house. They had these like trinkets around that look like toys, but you can't play with them. So of course,
That's definitely a '90s house.
yes, like that really struck a nerve with me when he like went to go
Yes.
pick up something, and they're like, "Oh no! Rule number one." Of course, Phil being very passive aggressive. Rule number one: you don't play with those. Those are toys.
Like
And
all they needed was like the plastic slip covers and like the white furniture, and it would have been my childhood all over again.
absolutely, that's why I was so triggered because I was like, "Ooh, that damn Phil! I can't stand his ass."
I can't stand me. I couldn't stand Joanne either.
Yeah, Joanne was like kind of sort of like with the shit too, like of like being passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But they're walking Andy through, making him feel
I,
sort of welcome.
I promise you, that scene where Andy is touching her little statue thing,
Yeah, the little
and
heirloom.
and she says, "Well, it was passed down from my grandmother to my mother. My mother passed it down to me." And Andy turns to her and says, "Well, who are you going to pass it down to?" That's when she was done with him.
Yeah, she's like, oh, anyway,
She was
let's get away.
she was done with Andy as soon as he said that, as if he knew
Right.
they
But
had some struggles.
if I had to assume their backstory, Joanne definitely had some fertility issues.
Yeah.
She wanted to have children, could not have children.
I don't think Phil ever wanted children.
I don't think so either. If it happened, okay, cool. But if it never happened, he was not gonna complain.
Like he's literally doing this for the check.
He's
That's literally
literally just doing this for the check. So Andy's he's walking in the hallway. They're like, yeah, your room is, down there to the left. He's walking down the hall. The hallway seems really long. And
very.
the first door he opens is Kyle's room. And what is she doing? She is doing what teenagers do.
She's smoking a cigarette, baby.
Smoking a cigarette, just, whatever. And you can tell off rip that Kyle she's a child of the foster care system.
Definitely.
She's been through some things. She's seen some things. Her suitcase is still on the dresser. And then Joanne comes in and is like, why aren't you unpacked? You've been here for 2 weeks already. And it's like, girl, that's like, don't you see that's a defense mechanism?
She was like, I'm not going to be here for long. So
like, I've been through this before. I'm not going to stay here long, whatever. But she is very welcoming to Andy.
Very
Very welcoming to Andy.
And the fact that she had a job.
Yes. And she had a plan. You see, she was like, hey, I'm going to be on my own next year, so I need to work as much as possible. And I felt her. I was like, all right, cool.
Like, Kyle had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't gonna knock her off her square.
at all.
And she was like, I'm gonna just ride this last little year being a minor out and I'm gonna be good.
That's it. She was on to something.
But she was so sweet to Andy, like
She was.
in her own angsty teenagey way.
Yeah, yeah. She definitely helped him when nobody in the house
Oh my
wanted
God,
to help
yes.
him. They
Yes.
were awful. They were awful to him that very first day because he finally gets to his room. His room is pretty ugly too. pretty ugly room, and Joanne, she's being so nice, but you can tell it's just all a facade. And he's going through the closet, and guess what falls out on the floor? A good guy doll.
Damn good guy doll.
Damn good guy doll. And he take off. He hauls ass out of that room. And Phil, once again, rule number 2, Andy, no running in the house. And it's like, did they pay attention at all to what happened to Andy Barclay?
She told you the story.
She told you the story. Why would you not get rid of that doll immediately right then and there? That is a trigger for him.
Now, I will give Joanne the credit of saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was still in here. It must have been from one of the other kids. Mm-hmm. Like she recognized, oh shit, this is probably not the best thing for him. Yeah. But Phil doesn't believe any of this hoo-ha.
He doesn't believe it at all. So I still feel so bad for Andy. But we get out of the foster family's house. We are back it's the nighttime, so we're back at Play Pal Corpse. And the assistant guy, he's leaving the office. It's night. It's rainy. All the elements for a bad night.
Yes.
He still has Chucky in tow. He throws him in the back seat with all his stuff, his work, his briefcase, all that stuff. He talking to his girl that he's supposed to be meeting up with his girl.
That sneaky link.
He trying to get some liquor. As an adult now, I'm like, okay, I see where he was.
Did you peep that he said it was their 2-week anniversary?
Yeah. So he was like, "Yeah, I'm about to get me some."
That was some new booty. Like he was trying to
get it. So he stopped at the liquor store.
Yeah, because that's right. Because he said, "Oh yeah, I got the vodka. I know how you get when you get."
Yes, he was planning it. He was planning that. So
I know how you get.
Right. He stopped at the liquor store, and another great shot of panning right to Chucky. Uh-oh, they cooking.
They're trying to burn down the house, child.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I gotta pause. How do I pause this? Oh Lord. Let me just mute it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, stop. Never mind. But
this is why I love us.
Great shot of the camera panning to Chucky in the back seat, and his eyes looking like, all right. Looking at the briefcase, so he finds Andy's information.
Yep.
Finds out where he's at. He makes a call to the facility. Oh my gosh, this is his Uncle Charles.
And this bitch.
Who does this? Ain't confirm it. Ain't like what? Like you didn't.
Aren't there rules against that? Even then, like, there was legal shit. Like you cannot release people's information over the telephone.
I mean, she did not give a fuck. And I feel like that was another slight message to the foster care system.
Oh, yeah.
So many kids fall through the cracks. So
so much shade to the foster care system in this movie, honey.
Yeah. So much. So we don't hear how the call ends, but his alarms start going off. So he leaves the liquor store, comes back out like, what's going on? So he gets in the car, starts to drive, and guess who pulls out a little bitty gun? I thought that little bitty gun.
I promise you, I watched this shit, and the way I wheezed when that store clerk was like, "We don't take credit cards," because I remember the time where people only took cash because credit cards were just this.
It was like a scam.
It was a scam. It was only for like yuppie rich people.
Yes, you can't be trusted. You
can't. So like, I love the fact that he was like, that's a gold card. It's as good as cash. And he was like, no.
So yeah, that was
the little bitty gun to his head. And I'm always thinking like, so you didn't like look in the rearview mirror for like a second? Like you just kept.
Nope. He just, and of course, Chucky is on that shit. Oh, I forgot to mention too. The good guy doll that Andy finds in his room, his name is Tommy.
Tommy, which
Hi, my name's Tommy.
which is
So
my brother's name, which is like a huge joke.
right.
Whenever like anything has Tommy in it, like we
Yes.
just run with it.
Yes. So yeah. So he tells him to drive, go to a parking lot, and he puts a bag over his head.
No, remember he squirts him with the water gun
Yes,
first.
yes, yes, he does. He does. He
And
shoots him with the water
he
gun.
has his arms tied behind his back, y'all, with a jump rope.
Yeah. His tying skills is immaculate.
His chef's kiss is a children's jump rope.
Even as a doll, he has not lost it. Okay.
He's not lost his touch. But
He's
just
not
seeing
lost
that little that little girl's jump rope and
it.
he's
Yep.
like struggling.
Yep. Yep. It was great. It was great. I mean, one thing you can say about Chucky is he's very resourceful.
Very.
Very resourceful.
Everything has a childlike whimsy to it.
He's like MacGyver for killers.
And for children, because like he uses children's stuff to like really get at you.
Yep. And he does it. So
But those jump ropes were like industrial strength back then.
I mean, they kind of made them to where
They never fell apart.
they never fall apart. They last. They last really good. So once I'm assuming, by this time we're assuming he's found out where Andy is at.
Mm-hmm.
He gets rid of the executive. So that's number 2. Kill count, we're at 2. And we see from his point of view of him going to the house, trying to get in the door. He gets in and nobody hears it because it's still raining. It's a very it's a bad storm going on outside.
Mm-hmm. And she's reading Andy a story.
Yeah, reading him a story, trying to make him feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And he still is not really letting his guard down.
He doesn't, but he does tell her, well, my mom used to sing to me when I was scared, and she sings to him.
Yep.
Like they were trying to bond.
Yeah, she was trying. She definitely was trying. And Chucky has made his way in the house. He sees that family heirloom. Well, no, first he sees Tommy. He sees Tommy.
And Tommy introduces himself.
Yep. Which is like, oh Lord, like it was just great.
Like Tommy, you had no idea, bruh.
Right. The one thing I do love about this movie is that I think they heard people's like what people were saying back then, because I felt like the best part of Child's Play was Chucky when he finally came live and we saw him in action. Those moments were the best part of the movie. So I feel like this movie incorporated a lot of shots with Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
We got that very early on.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So once Tommy introduces himself to Chucky, he takes that family heirloom, smashes his damn head, and then buries him in the backyard.
That is like, I don't know what it is about that scene in particular, but I giggle every time I see it. And I don't know if it's the little plastic shovel, mm-hmm. if it's the fact that he's burying him under a swing,
yes,
or if when he's like, night, Tommy. I don't know.
That was like, ooh, that was.
He has this little like kid shovel. It's not even a full size shovel, but he's like he's still a serial killer, even though he's a doll. Like he's gonna bury the body.
Yes, he's going to work on this shit. Like he's very. And I feel like this was the movie where Chucky actually he understood the assignment.
Oh yeah,
she got a lot of shit done in this movie. So he switches. He kills Tommy.
Right. Kill count number 3, I guess, because he's dead too.
Right. He did nothing wrong, but he's there. He is in the house with Andy Barclay. So easy. Like nobody made it hard for him. This was very easy for him to do. And the next morning, of course, Joanne is like, "Who did this? Which one of you did it?" And both of them are like, "Nobody."
I know Phil's trying to be so tough.
Yeah, Phil he already didn't fuck with Andy, and he never really said it, but I can tell he really didn't fuck with Kyle either.
Right.
So He was just like, all right, since nobody want to admit it, both of y'all on punishment. That's it.
You're both grounded.
We're both grounded. You're both don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. So that same night, I might be skipping a little bit because my notes are kind of broad.
Well, after that is when you get that moment with Kyle and Andy in the basement, that first real moment, because Kyle's pissed that she's grounded. She's like, I had a date tonight.
Right.
And she's smoking, and she, she gives Andy the cigarette to hold, and he smokes it, and she's like, don't you do it. They taste like shit. And he's like,
that was really funny.
Yeah, he's like, well, why do you smoke? And she's like, because when you're grown up, you get to do things that are bad for you. I just always thought that shit was funny. And then the infamous, you want to hear me say your name backwards? And he turns around and says her name, and she just cracks up. Like, they really were like forming a real like sibling relationship. Like, Kyle, you could tell Kyle was like, okay, this kid, he's cute, he's obviously traumatized, no one else is going to care about him.
Yep.
So I'm going to care about him. Like, even the scene where she tells him, because he asked her like, well, why don't you unpack your clothes? And she's like, you're going to learn later on in life that you have to look out for you.
Yeah.
Like, she's trying to get him acclimated to, you don't have any parents anymore.
Yeah.
And they have that. Even then, just the banter between them was just so organic. Like, they felt like a real brother and sister, even though they had just met the day before.
Right.
But she lets him know, like, okay, you could have just told the truth, and now I'm stuck in here with your ass.
Right, as any big sister would do.
Right, but she doesn't come down on him.
Right. That's it. It's not about what you say, it's how you say it.
She never scolds him. She never makes him feel like he's wrong, but she just lets him know what it is. Hey, you did this. I didn't do it. Now I'm stuck here at home.
Yeah.
And I love Kyle for that. Kyle's the big sister I think we all wanted.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I really liked Kyle's character in this movie, and I felt like they did a really good job with giving her a backstory without even really giving her a backstory.
Yeah. I mean, Christina Lee said herself in the interviews that I watched that she wanted to play Kyle as very tough, but she had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And I think that came across very well.
She did. It came out very authentic. So I loved just how subtle, how their commentary with each other, it basically laid out the groundwork and told her backstory. So it was great. So that same night, Chucky wastes no time.
None. With the jump ropes again.
He ties Andy up to his bed and is like, all right, we're going to play a game called Hide the Soul.
Yep.
And he got the sock in his mouth. So
yeah, the jump ropes.
Yeah,
tied him up again.
Tied him up, got the sock in his mouth, and he actually starts the chant. He starts that chant, but it's interrupted because Kyle done snuck out, and she's coming in through his window.
Hey,
like shit.
Kyle went and did what she had to do.
She did. I wasn't mad at her because
she said, "I had a hot date,
and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get to it."
Right. So, and she sneaks in through Andy's room like that's some genius level shit.
Absolutely. Yep. And she sees him tied up, so she like, what are you doing?
Chucky's sitting on top of him.
Right. Like, what are you doing? How did you do this? So she takes the sock out of his mouth. He's screaming and screaming. It's Chucky! It's Chucky! It's Chucky!
It's him smacking Chucky off of him that gets me every time.
Yep.
Like, he gives Chucky the hands every chance he gets.
Every time. And that guard is back up.
But she unties him, and she's like, how did you do this?
How did you do this? And then Joanne and Phil come in, and they automatically are like, why did you do this to him?
Now, that's what kills me. Now, you heard that, but you didn't hear somebody breaking shit in your living room.
Yeah. Because he wasn't quiet about it.
At all.
He's never quiet about it at all. So,
but all right. Yeah, they come in there accusing Kyle of shit. And she's like, are you kidding?
Mm-hmm. And Andy still is sticking to his story. It was Chucky. It was Chucky. And Phil is like, I have had it.
Oh, girl, your light went out.
Hmm?
I think your light went out.
Really?
You look darker.
I don't know why. I'm right up underneath the light.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just my eyes, child. I'm old.
So yeah, Phil is like, I've had enough. Let's take Chucky. He throws him in the basement.
Ooh, yeah.
He's like, I've had it. But at this point, I'm still like, y'all could have thrown this nigga out. Why?
I just remember when I first seen this as a kid, I was like, he threw him down the stairs. Like, you next because you threw him down the stairs.
Absolutely. Because I was like, Chucky ain't gonna like that. And
And
we
he threw him hard.
he threw him hard. And then we see once Chucky gets up, his nose is bleeding. He's like, fuck, like, I gotta get out of this body. Like, he is pissed. Like, I love how he's like, I gotta get out of this body. Like,
His nose is always bleeding.
oh my gosh.
Like a nerd in gym class. Like his nose is not for
Always.
shit.
Always, always, always. So it's, oh my gosh, it's like his commentary, Brad Dourif's commentary as Chucky,
Yes.
was top tier. Like he set the tone for what the Chucky movies became. Once they dropped the Child's Play and it was just blank of Chucky,
Yeah.
he definitely he went in the studio with his voiceover check. He was like he had to pay rent, so he did his thing. So next day, Andy goes to school. He's getting on the bus, and Chucky follows him.
But you know what? And that's cute because Kyle still being like just her cool ass self. They're walking to the bus stop, remember? And she's like, he keeps looking behind him. She's like, what do you think Chucky's gonna get you? And she like grabs his neck, like all playful.
Right.
And you know, she's like, how did you do that last night? He's like, I told you, Chucky did. And she's like, okay, right, Chucky did it. Yeah. Like, but she doesn't tell him he's lying. Mm-hmm. She doesn't tell him she doesn't believe him. She just goes, oh, okay, right, Chucky did it. Mm-hmm. And she gets him on the bus.
Yep.
You know, and she gives him some advice about being the new kid.
Yeah.
Like she's so instantly protective of him.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of makes me want to know a little bit more about her because she's like, she instantly like mama bears him.
Absolutely.
Even though he's seemingly getting her in trouble.
And did you notice that like she looked like a younger version of
his mom? Yes. I said the same thing. I said, okay, they literally gave us a stand-in for his mom in a very fun and unexpected way because she's a lot more outspoken than his mom. She's not as refined as his mom, but she still holds that space.
Absolutely.
Of you're not going to hurt him.
I love that. I don't know if a lot of people caught on to that. I didn't catch on to it until well into my adult years when I watched this movie. I'm like, oh, she do kind of favor his mom.
Yeah, she definitely holds that space between him and the world. It's like he's a kid and I'm almost grown, so I'm gonna make sure he's okay because he doesn't know any better.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was done purposeful. Like
oh yeah, you know, Don Mancini had a lot more hands-on with this one than the first one because of the writer's strike. So he definitely had his hand in it a lot more, and so many things that he wanted to do in the first one did come into this one. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that just like watching it now as an adult and watching the little moments they have, it just puts a smile on your face because you know Andy has nobody and you know Kyle has nobody.
Yeah,
and he does kind of get to this point with her where he's looking for her advice.
Yeah, because there was a time even before we get to this point of him going to school. There's a conversation that they have with each other where he is she's telling him, like when we talked earlier about how she's telling him like, hey, don't get too comfortable. She's giving him little life lessons and he's for advice and he's listening. And she's telling him like, hey, you know, basically be strong, stand up for yourself and fight back. You know, she's instilling confidence within him because his innocence as a child is gone.
Well, even when they have the conversation when he asked her about her parents and she goes, well, I never knew them, you know, because my dad wasn't there, my mom died. Mm-hmm. Just the way he feels for her because he doesn't have his mom. To him, his mom is dead too, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So like he kind of takes a comfort in knowing that she knows how he feels.
Yeah.
And she takes comfort in knowing that he kind of understands what she's going through as well.
Right.
You know, you don't get much of her backstory, but that little bit of her just not having any parents ever.
If you get the charger for me. Yeah.
Like her not having any parents ever, it says a lot about why she looks after Andy.
Yeah.
Because she never had anybody look out for her.
Absolutely. And I feel like if we would have gotten a little bit more of her backstory, it would have told us that she probably entered the foster care. over here. And I feel like she probably entered the foster care system at his age. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's another reason why, right here, why she felt so compelled to like take him in. Thank you.
Yeah. But I think it was just really sweet that she gets him off the bus and tells him how to handle himself with new people. And her friends walk up and she's like, "You would not believe the night I had."
Yes, because he was like, "What happened to you? You left all early. You got up out of there early." He was like,
I
"Oh,
wanted to hear that conversation because I feel like that tea was hot. Because the way she looked at him and was like, "You
no,
wouldn't even believe me if I told you."
believe it." Like I can't even talk about it. But this, okay, so this when Andy gets to school, this is one of my favorite, favorite scenes. It's my favorite kill. It was just such a great, just such a
It's definitely one of the most memorable scenes of the franchise.
and honestly, if I'm being honest, okay, don't roast me too hard, but I've never really seen Child's Play 2 from very beginning to very end in one sitting. I've always saw bits and pieces, but never saw the whole thing in one sitting. So this was my really first time of like seeing everything and not just that iconic school. Uh,
See, this is one of those movies like when it used to come on USA all the time,
yeah,
or in TNT. Like if it came on, I didn't care what part of the movie it was on. When I got there, I was sitting down and finishing it because it's just I
yeah,
love it that much.
yeah, yeah.
But the school scene is like so that iconic look
Mhm.
of scary Chucky. When you think of Chucky at his scariest, it's
His
in
face.
this scene.
Yes. So he's in, and I will say, I did not feel too bad for the teacher.
Hell
But
no.
Chucky follows Andy to school through the bus. He gets somehow in his classroom while
little
everybody.
the little legs climbing up the bus.
Yes, it was. I felt like that was great too. Like that was just good seeing it. Like, oh yeah. So Andy was right. Like Andy was right to keep looking behind him because Chucky was definitely
Already
following.
there.
Like he
I
was
I wish I would have seen that scene of like how he got like cause it's just this little doll and it's
Yep.
a bus full of kids. Nobody saw a doll rolling under the bus.
Nobody.
Because
Nobody.
I do love the shot of them walking to the bus because it looks like Halloween to me.
Yeah, it does. That neighborhood, it did look like
I
Halloween.
love it.
Yep, it definitely did. So yeah, they Chucky finds. I don't know what like that's how you know Chucky's really fucked up because he finds Andy's paper while everybody's out the classroom. He finds Andy's paper and writes an obscenity on it.
Well, the teacher was already on Andy's ass because the kid was hitting him
Yep,
and he turned around and said some shit to the kid. And then
of
she
course.
coming on. That's how it always happens in school, right?
It always happens when you retaliate. That's when the teacher sees it. She'll
Yeah, so
see it. You know, like,
she was already on his ass. Like with that paper, that shit makes me giggle every time.
yeah, I feel like the teacher was already. I feel like she knew the history that came
Hmm.
with Andy, so he already kind of had a bad rep anyway.
But did he have to write it in the bright red crayon?
He did. He did. He absolutely did because
He literally writes "fuck you, bitch" in big red capital letters.
capital letters like so. Whew. And that ticks her off. Like that ticks her off. She's, you know what? This isn't funny, young man. You will stay here.
Like
Yes.
the way she grabbed him.
Man, she had enough, and I'm like, damn, this is first day, ain't it? Like, why are you?
Like I don't think I would have felt bad if he would have stomped on her toe or something. Like because
Yeah,
she was grabbing him like way too hard.
right. And at the same time, when she sees the obscenity on his paper and confronts him about it, he looks in a little cabinet, and Chucky done made his way there, so he like,
He was like, I didn't write that. And she's like, well, who did? And then he looks at Chucky and she's like, oh, yeah, right.
so she takes Chucky.
The way she pushes his head on that desk, I would have beat her ass.
Yeah, that was not right. Head down, head down, young man. I'm like,
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, not trying to be funny, but that's why our generation was the way we were because teachers thought they was going to do whatever. And our generation was the fuck you generation. I don't know what it was about our 80s babies, but like, I remember cussing out one of my teachers in junior high school for grabbing me.
yeah, like we're not gonna do that.
Don't put your hands. We are definitely don't put your hands on me generation.
Don't put your hands on me.
Like
We got
the babies now square up with the teachers. We just cussed them out.
yeah, yeah. Rightfully so. Sometimes they had us fucked up.
Yeah, we just cuss them out. Y'all nowadays, y'all actually over here house and shit. We ain't had nothing to do with that. But I mean,
Hey,
we was cussing them
there's
out.
rock bottoming teachers now. Like there's uppercutting teachers now.
I would have never in my wildest dreams put my hand on a teacher. I would have been too afraid of what my parents would have did. But I cussed one out
Yeah.
multiple times.
Oh yeah, you gotta take them like you gotta take them down a notch because once you get old enough to realize teachers really is just regular people too, and they don't get paid that much, so you gotta really take them down a notch because they be trying to take
Not
stuff.
all, but you know what? Not all teachers are horrible. Like, you know, I got teachers in my family; they're great. But
Yeah.
the ones that want to put their hands on you for no reason, that
Mhm.
could have been a conversation, or she could have just sent him to the principal's office. She could have done a myriad of things, but shoving him around and yanking him, like, what if she would dislocated his arm?
Absolutely, like you can't do that.
I
Like,
couldn't. I couldn't have been on set that day. Like, why is she handling my baby like that? I couldn't have
yeah,
been
like
his
you
mom.
break somebody up, they can have a bruise. So
Like, she not acting. Get her hands off my baby.
yeah, she's really taking this out on him. I don't like it. So she takes Chucky, throws him in the closet in the classroom, tells him, "Put your fucking head down," and she leaves the room. So he's like, Andy, like, all right, I can't just sit here. He's here. Like, I gotta fight to defend myself. So he looks through the peephole and sees he sees Chucky's eyes, like, hey, let me out of here.
He's shaking the door and he starts cussing him out.
Man, he started going in.
Let me the fuck out of here.
Yep. So Andy's very resourceful too. He hauls ass. He lifts up that window. He books it. He books it in the classroom. Great. And I mean,
left his bag, his coat.
I said, smart kid, smart kid. He got
He
the
said,
hell
I don't need it. I don't need it.
here. Yep, he got the hell up out of there. And the teacher comes back, and she locked. I didn't realize she locked him in there.
Yes.
Which I'm like, that wasn't right either.
She locked the closet and the door.
So she's coming back to the classroom, unlocking the door, and then sees he's not there, and she goes to the closet.
Because Chucky's rattling the door.
Yeah, so it's very suspenseful. She's going through, she's looking, a ball falls down, and she's looking, and then boom, Chucky he stabs her with like the air pump thing.
Poke.
Man, he stabs her. She falls like everybody always does. She falls. And he got that damn ruler stick. Oh my
that yardstick. And I was like, can you really do that to somebody with a yardstick?
I mean, he's like that was who.
Well, when the way he walks out the closet is so it's so scary, and he's like, "You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell."
And they got the sound when his hand the yardstick hits his hand. Whoosh, whoosh. Like,
yeah, and then you get those
ass.
And you get those fade out shots every time he lifts the yardstick out. It fades out some more, and he lifts it back up, and it fades out, and it's just blood all over it.
Yes, and you can see it.
Can you really beat somebody to death with a yardstick?
Man, Chucky make anything possible. So add to the kill count. Boom. We're adding to this kill count.
One more.
And woo, I feel like she kind of got it the worst. We didn't see it.
Nope.
It still was great. Like, still was a great shot.
The next one is the one who got it the worst, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm not mad at it, but it was pretty bad.
I was not mad at it. So that same night, Andy, they don't question how he got home, but they're like, yeah.
Your teacher called.
The teacher called. He had some obscenity on his paper, and she kept him after school.
And he said Chucky did it.
Yeah. Phil.
He's had it.
Like, we are like 3 days, 2 days in, 2.5 days. Phil has had enough. And also Andy has had enough because Phil was like, what are you talking about? What? Open the door. Open the door. Andy's not opening the door. He's like, no. And Chucky's there, of course, bottom of the stairs. And he's like, enough of this. He's not, like, Chucky is not doing this. Like, you need to fess up, basically. So They're arguing. Phil and Joanne are arguing so loud where Andy can hear him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he's got to go.
Yep.
He's got to go back to the facility. I don't care how it happened. I don't care why. He got to get the fuck up out of here, basically. And Joanne's like, "Oh, but we can't do that."
He tells her that if he stays, he's going to destroy their family.
Yes, he's gonna tear this family apart. And she's like, "What family?"
Exactly. That's what was funny because look.
Please.
I'm not the biggest fan of Joanne because she just was a total puss in my opinion, but she ate with that one.
What family?
She totally ate with that one.
Right. You never liked him. Like she said it. Like you never wanted him.
Yeah. What family, bruh?
Right. So, you know, Andy's in his room on his bed, just like, I'm about to go. Like he already know. Like they about to send me back. And Kyle comes in.
Mm-hmm.
She gives him more.
Yeah, you got to rely on yourself.
Yes, like you have to rely on yourself. Don't worry about it. She's still trying to give him some
love.
Fuck, and he needs it at that moment because,
yeah,
like, he literally just went through the shit. Like, nobody's gonna believe him that Chucky followed him to school.
Yep.
Tried to take him out, and he had to run for his life, literally. So that same night, but Andy, like I said, Andy has had enough as well because
Andy with the shits that night.
He was on it. He was on one. He went down to the kitchen, grabbed that electric knife, and was like, I'm about to go to work.
Hold on. It's not the fact that he grabs the knife. It's the fact that he tests it first to make sure it works.
Yes. He like, I'm about to go to work on this dog.
He's like, chopping him up tonight.
Yeah. He was like, it's either me or him. He already
exactly.
Like the fight or flight, like he already flighted out that classroom. Now he's like, it got to be a fight.
And I really feel like that speaks to Kyle because she gave him the courage to depend on himself. You know what you know. Mm-hmm. You got to depend on yourself. Like she really gave him that type of, sometimes you need that support.
Yeah.
She's like, you got to do it for yourself. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take care of it because no one else is.
And he said, he had his right mind. Because he go in that basement. He's like, where are you at?
He's stabbing the dryer.
Looking around, stabbing shit. And Chucky jumps on his back. They fighting a little bit.
And he cuts him.
Yes, he does.
In the head.
He gets him. And of the worst person to come down there was
the
Phil.
Worst person.
Phil comes down and is like, what's going on? No, first he's like, hey, just put the...
Because he's just holding this knife.
Of course it looks bad.
It looks bad. But my thing is, okay, who would he be down there attacking if y'all are all upstairs?
Exactly. Your life ain't in danger.
So obviously he's paranoid about this doll. So maybe there's more going on than you want to give credit to. Like that's a level of, okay, let's just say you don't believe him. That's still a level of paranoia you might want to be a little sensitive to.
This is a time where, and I feel like if you're a parent and you're listening to this, especially if you're a mom and you're listening to this, we've all pretended to kill a monster.
Oh yeah, girl.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Listen, my kids have never told me their dolls are doing anything because I'm already with the shit. I watch horror movies. If you say your doll is talking to you, that doll is we're gonna burn it together. Okay, like
I myself have had to make wolf spray.
Listen,
for the werewolves. Okay,
as mothers, we had to do to make our kids feel safe. So,
or to just dispel the illusion, because I've had a couple of nights where I had to be like, okay, you're gonna sit in here with me in the dark and see that there's nothing out here,
right?
And I'm gonna sit next to you, and we're gonna sit here,
right?
So I've had to do that too.
We've had to do it,
but in that case, that's a whole level of paranoia you might want to be a little sensitive to.
I mean, if my child was in the basement with a knife, saying I would have, like, we're gonna escalate to that level. Okay, I'm
gonna help you look, because obviously
I'm gonna believe you.
Yeah, you need to put your mind at ease. So let me help you look.
Yeah, let's kill his ass together. You know, Phil comes down the stairs. Hey, just put the knife down. Chucky, being the resourceful son of a bitch he is, he trips Phil
with the umbrella.
With the umbrella, so he like holding him upside down, and Phil looking like yes, Yes, he was telling the truth.
It's the fact that he says, "How's it hanging, Phil?" that
How's
kills
it
me
hanging?
every time.
How's it hanging, Phil? Like I just love. Oh,
Like he knows your name.
his bits in this movie
I'm
is
just
just
saying, like, think
so
about that. Like you didn't believe in him, but he knows your name.
yeah,
How dumb do you feel?
right. So he's just like, hey, 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 and then he drops him. Phil
Yeah,
breaks his damn neck, and I mean
and instantly,
it's bad. Like it's really bad,
it's
y'all.
instant.
Yeah, it's bad. And then Joanne finally comes and is like,
And Kyle,
they both come down. It's like,
yep,
what the hell?
and he's
And
staring and
now
holding a knife.
he's he's like he's not even really standing over Phil, but Phil's lifeless body is on the ground. He's bleeding out, and Andy's standing there with his knife, like in shock.
And
He
the
was
way
just
she's
going
like,
too.
the way she yells at him to get away from her is like
Yep.
gut wrenching because I see Andy's point of view, but I see
Yeah.
her point of view too.
Yeah, she's
My
like, I
husband,
should have listened to him. He
yeah,
told me.
yep, she's yeah. This is what my husband was talking about, and now I don't have my husband anymore. And all of this started because you came. Like I totally get where she was coming from because she was like, he got to go,
Yep.
not now, but right now, tonight.
That's the go. And I tell you what, he got up out of there that night.
She packed his shit so quick and poor and
Man.
Kyle, and it's funny to me that Kyle took that stance of like neutrality
Yeah.
because she's watching Joanne pack and Joanne's explaining to her that Phil was right.
Hmm.
And Kyle's just kind of like, hey, you didn't have any idea this was going to happen. Like, it's like she assumes the role of the adult the further along in the movie she goes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the foster lady shows up and Kyle's comforting Andy. She's the one that brings the bag down. Joanne doesn't even fucking say goodbye.
Nope. She's done. She done. Done with his ass.
Kyle's the one that makes sure that he is seen off safely.
Yeah. It's so sad. And because we as viewers, we know like what Andy's been through from the last movie and just in this movie. Like he has had not one, not two, but three goddamn um interactions with Chucky. The
Mm-hmm.
same doll that he went through all this shit with 2 years ago.
Yeah, I said
So
she sees him off, and even when she's seeing him off, she doesn't accuse him of anything. She
yep,
doesn't. She just says, "Hey, you're gonna be okay.
yep,
It's gonna be okay." And he tells her, "You need to watch out for Chucky."
yeah. And she still is like, you know, at this point, we don't really know if Kyle believes him, but it's affecting her. She feels really bad.
I don't think that Kyle believed Chucky was real, but I think she believed that Andy did, and she
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
gonna fuck that up because
yeah,
he had been through a lot. She
yeah,
never did anything to disprove what he was saying, but she never agreed either.
yeah, yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, she was holding that space for him because everybody needs that person. Like, not even trying to be funny or deep about it, but sometimes you need somebody that's like not going to tell you you're wrong, but they're not going to agree with you either.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not going to come out and say no, you're fucking wrong, but they're just going to be like, I don't know about this. Think of it this way, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe if she would have came at him as aggressive as everybody else had,
Yeah,
he wouldn't have opened up to her. But yeah, she
absolutely.
actually sees him off. And I was like,
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
fucking 17, bitch. You the one who signed the paperwork. You the
yeah.
one that brought him into your house. Why are
You
you
knew
not
he was
ensuring that he
trouble.
gets out?
You knew that he was trouble. You knew his whole background. So to not see him off was just it was heartbreaking and it's definitely affecting Kyle too. She goes and she finally is the one to take Chucky and throw his
And throw
ass
him in
in
the trash. Yeah, because he tells her,
the
you need to watch out for Chucky. And I feel like she was like, okay, let me just throw this fucking doll away just in
yeah,
case.
yeah,
Because he obviously cares about her to even say that to her.
yep, mm-hmm,
And
yep,
I was explaining to the kids and Courtney, we watched the movie. I said there's just something about the fact that she may not have believed him fully, but she knew enough about Andy in those few days that he wasn't that type of person.
yep,
You see, did you get that vibe too? Like she's like, okay, he's not that bad,
mm-hmm,
y'all.
mm-hmm, absolutely. But she
So
just
yeah,
it's hard to say like what is it about him that he like that makes him believe this so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But she finds out.
Yeah, because she puts him in the trash.
She puts him in the trash. She's on the swing.
She's
She's
smoking her cigarette.
smoking her cigarette, just kind of just taking everything in. And with the dirt coming up underneath the swing, she feels something. It's like, what is this under here? And guess who it is? It is that other doll that smashed in. And she's like, she takes off running. She goes to the trash. She goes to the trash. Doll is gone. This is the point. This is the point where she's like, Andy wasn't lying.
And then she hears the scream.
Yep. She's yelling. She's yelling for Joanne. She hauls ass, goes up there, opens the door. Joanne is gone. And I feel like, I would have been vindicated to see how she died. But
I was you literally just took the word out. I was literally just about to say, I wish we could have seen how she got killed.
At least see something like him walking behind her, like a montage of him, like, you know what I'm saying? Some this point of view.
Especially because they kept showing that sewing machine.
Yeah.
And she died in front of the sewing machine. I would have loved to have seen that incorporated.
Yep. I would love to see that. So yeah, our kill count, we're at 4, guys. We're at four bodies. And at this point, Kyle is like, I gotta get to Andy. I have to get to Andy. So he's back at the facility. The lady, man, this lady was just.
She had her hands full though. I ain't gonna front. She had them kids running everywhere.
She did. She really, truly did. And
but did you find it creepy seeing Chucky come about the sheet?
Very.
On Kyle.
Very. Yep.
I feel like those scenes always freak me out. I know it's coming, but it still freaks me out when something bursts out of a sheet. Maybe because I feel like my bed is my safe place.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Like, I couldn't imagine something attacking me in my bed. Like, I'm just not okay.
Yep. And of course, Chucky being the resourceful son of a bitch he is, he uses Kyle to take him to the facility. Like, hey.
Which, that scene where they get stopped by the police.
Yes. His nose start bleeding again.
The car scene front to back, because when they're driving and the police are behind. Well, first of all, when she asked him how he got like that, and he's like, it's a long story. And then the cop shows up behind them, and then he's like, you got to be kidding me, Floor. And she's like, are you kidding me? It's a station wagon. Like, right. The banter they had, like, it was almost as if like she wasn't even afraid of him. He was just annoying her.
He was. He was annoying as hell.
Like, she wasn't scared. He's just like, just shut the fuck up and let me drive. Like, just
like, totally not even shocked. Like, the whole shock is not there.
Yeah, anymore. Like, just like, total teenager shit at this point. Like, she's like, fuck it, you're alive, you're getting on my nerves. But then the cop comes up and he's like, what do you got, a hot date or whatever? And no, he says, your speech, I got a hot date. And he's like, yeah, right. And then he's like, is that one of those good guy dolls?
Yep.
He's like, what's your name? And Chucky's like, I'm Chucky. He
didn't even try to like change his voice or change his face. He just looked like
he was so over it. And you can tell he don't fuck with the police like that. Like, he don't fuck with the police at all, because he was like Chucky, right. And then his nose.
I lose it every time.
And then his nose starts to bleed, and the cop is like, what is that? She's like, oh, you know those dolls that pee? This one bleeds. That shit's so funny to me. Absolutely. But it's very clever because, that was the original concept, was that Chucky was going to have synthetic blood.
Right.
In the original script. So I just always find that whole scene just kills me. Like, because she's just so over Chucky. Chucky is so over this shit. Like, they're just both over it.
Yes. Because that bloody nose is a reminder he is running out of time.
Like, seeing two people in a car that just don't give a fuck was like the funniest part to me. They both just don't care. She's like, it's almost as if she's just like, will you just fucking stab me and get this over with? Like, I don't want to drive you nowhere.
Right.
Like, I don't even want to be a part of this.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was great.
Her attitude was so A1. And she said herself, she was like, you have to be on top of your shit when you're acting with the doll, because if the doll looks good and you don't, they're going to use that.
Yeah.
So like
Absolutely.
she was on her A game in that scene because she was talking so much shit to Chucky.
Man, the rent was due and she knew it. Like she had to pay that rent. So she was like,
But I mean, but you have to think about it. Like he can't drive, so it's nothing he could do but let her talk shit to him.
yep, of
But
course.
yeah, that cop was so dumb and oblivious. But the way he said Chucky takes me out every time because he was
Yes,
like, "Fuck you, police."
I'm Chucky. Like,
But he does let them go because he's like, just stop
right,
speeding
just
and
slow down,
just slow it down.
So they make it to the facility. Oh my gosh.
And Chucky and pull that damn fire alarm.
Pull the fire alarm. So now everybody got to get out. Everybody get out. And then it's like, oh my gosh. Andy's like, fuck, I cannot get, I
And
cannot.
you see the knife in her back.
Yep. Knife is in her back. Ugh, Lord. Ugh, another one.
And that lady's like, "Did you do this, Kyle?" And she don't like Kyle. You could tell she don't like Kyle.
At all. She already
Because,
had some run-ins with Kyle, so it's like, Kyle.
and Kyle was like, she was like, "Did you do this?" She was like, "Mm-mm." The way she says does the head shake.
Nope. Nope. It's like, girl.
I
So,
fucking
my
love
God.
Kyle in this movie. I'm sorry. Her mannerisms are just so spot on.
Yeah, she did. She did a very great
So
job.
spot on for a
Oh
teenager.
my gosh. So, oh my gosh. So this is the part I get a little foggy on because I remember I walked out the room and I came back. But
Oh, okay, this part. So
this
yeah.
was.
Um the woman who runs this facility gets pissed off that Kyle put the fire alarm and
Mhm,
she shoves Kyle and Chucky and Andy into her office.
mhm.
And Kyle's trying to explain what's going on. She doesn't believe her. She takes the doll out of Kyle's arms and Chucky stabs her in the chest.
Okay.
And she hits the photocopy machine and the photocopies start going
Oh
on
yeah,
top of
with her
her
face.
dead body.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, that's where this. I don't know why I always miss this part, and then when I
I
rewind
think
it,
because she's just such a throwaway character.
yeah, it was very rushed. Like it was
Yeah.
very rushed. Um, we don't really care. Like we don't really care. It's another.
Oh wait, but we did miss a part where they're driving to the foster home facility and Kyle gets fed up and she slams on the brakes and Chucky flies through the window.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
He
she
did.
tries to run him over and she gets
Yeah.
caught again
Yeah.
and they have to walk to the foster place because yeah, like she was trying to fuck him up.
Yeah.
She
She
was
had
over
had enough.
him.
She had enough instantly. Like this was like her
I
first.
just feel like Kyle just did not like being told what to do. And
Yep.
Chucky was like
Hmm.
it for her. Like
Hmm.
this is like I've dealt with enough shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that I love that part too because he goes flying out that window.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen a doll break glass before, but my God, like he must have but he does have that metal head. So
Yes. Yes. He does. He does.
yeah, but the fact that she tries to run him over and you just see him like dart out the way,
Yep.
it's hilarious. But yeah, they kill the foster lady, and I do like that scene because he pushes Kyle out the door
Yeah.
and locks it, and Andy's like freaked out and he goes, "What's wrong, Andy? I thought you've never seen a dead body before." And I'm like, "You son of a bitch!"
Son of
Like
a bitch. Like just so much trauma.
so much because Andy's like damn near pissing himself.
Right. Like Andy done seen at this point, Andy done seen more dead bodies than any
Mhm.
8-year-old should see. Killed in front of him too. My
Yeah.
like
And he makes Andy jump out the window and get in the back of that newspaper truck.
yep.
And Kyle has to like run after them.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. But the best part of this movie is when they get back to the play pal manufacturing point.
I
Like this is
promise
the
you,
assembly line. This is the assembly line where everything is getting put together. And I
when
mean,
she does that goddamn Sarah Connor Terminator roll under the door,
yeah, that was
it's
great.
on. It's
Man,
on.
I wonder how many takes that took.
I know her elbows was hurting.
Man, I really wonder how many takes did that take for them to get that right? Woo!
Like it was on. Like as soon as that door slammed, you
Yeah,
like we here
she
now.
was on it. She was on it. And this was actually like one of the what this was the first movie where Chucky actually did the ritual.
Yes.
He did like he actually completed it. and it did not work.
at all. He starts that damn nose drip again.
That nose is dripping, and he's like, "Fuck! I spent too much time in this damn body." Like
Yeah, now he just wants to kill Andy just off of GP.
now
Like,
he's
I'm
like,
like,
"Okay,
yeah,
now I'm going like you gotta die just because I can't have you. I'm
yep,
stuck in this damn body, so now I'm about to just kill you." So he's chasing him through the facility.
yeah. She knocks all those good guy dolls on
Yes,
him,
yes. Oh
and
my gosh.
he
They
like
go into
pops
the
out.
assembly line, like they're going up to, through shit, and then there's like a gate that they close off. It gets
Yes.
on his hand.
Oh, and it's so gross looking to this day.
To this day, it's so it
Watching
was,
it rip.
oh my gosh. I was just like, I know this is a doll, but now it's like, okay, it's actually him now because he's been
Yeah,
so
the
long.
way it was ripping and bleeding and
Yeah,
shit.
like he's
Oh,
ripping it off and he's just like, ah! But he don't stop.
he has gone full blown Scarface at this point.
He don't stop. He goes to get a knife. He sticks it in his arm, tape it up. Like he screamed when he stick it in there. But by the time he put the tape on, he's just like yeah, I'm about to do this.
Yeah.
And all this time, I'm like, where's the people that work here? Like the assembly line is going to shit.
Okay, so this is where like this is my favorite part is, and I've only noticed it a couple times, like the past couple times I've watched it, but I never noticed it when I was younger. But when they're trying to find their way out and you see them and they accidentally hit the button for it to go backwards, right? And
Yeah.
all the doll parts stick on there and then it comes back out, right? So you know that it's foreshadowing, but they're facing the opposite direction and Chucky rides down the conveyor belt behind them.
Yes.
And they don't notice. That shit cracks me up every time because he's just like this.
Yep.
Coming down, and then he like tries to cut Andy's head.
Yep. And it's like, get it out. Ooh, like, so he ducks.
Like, he's right behind you.
Yep. Andy ducks. Andy dodges him. And then they get the machine that puts the little plastic on them.
They hit that button. Yep.
Boom, 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 boom. So he's sticking.
Did you notice though that it was like right on his crotch?
Yes.
So they had to have been like stapled because when you go to Bride, he says he's anatomically correct, but in this movie you don't see it. Yeah. The dolls don't have penises, right? But he does allude that he's anatomically correct. So does that mean he was getting stapled in the balls?
I know, right? They never really showed it, but he's stuck. He's stuck. It's going backwards, back up into that part where I'm assuming they put the arms and the legs and then they like melted all together.
Girl, he was paying bills that day the way he was screaming.
Ooh, and I mean, and me and Nas was watching it, be like, ooh, how
he sounded so painful.
And I'm like, ooh, how he gonna come out of there? And it's like he's just a ball of arms and legs and feet. And just it's all melted together. So they are like, whoo. And as viewers, we are like, whoo, you know, we ask no questions. We're just like, okay, it's finally over. But no.
You see that trail of blood.
The top part of Chucky is still alive, and he is on this. He's on something with some.
See, you missed one.
The guy that worked there, right? I missed that.
You missed that. The guy that gets filled with the eyeballs.
Yes. So that's another thing. I was wondering, like, where is the workers here? Like, this is
one person.
One guy, he's watching the cameras, like, what the hell? So he goes and looks inside the thing, and then Chucky gets him. He pushes him, he knocks him out. He's on the line, and when the machine that puts the eyeballs in the dolls, it goes in. He's just
so gross.
Like he's dead. Gotta add that to the kill count too.
But so, like
the poor, he was another like useless kill, but it was
but I thought it was funny that they used him as a setup for knocking out Kyle.
Right. So yeah,
I had to ask myself, like, this man has no legs at this point. Like, how did he string this dude up to swing and hit her?
Yes, and I mean, he hit her hard to knock her out. So she's
going up the conveyor belt.
Yeah, she's going on that part with the arms and the legs that he went on. So it's like,
you hear the squeaky wheels?
Yes, and he's just like, all right, like
I told you we were gonna be friends to the end.
Chucky is still talking shit the whole
Cash
time.
shit.
Man, he will not give up. So at this point, they're by this machine that is melting the plastic. So Andy, resourceful kid, I love him. I
Yeah,
love.
because he tries to stab him and he gets caught in the radiator
Mm-hmm.
and he can't
Get
get his
caught
arm
in
out.
the radiator. He is not giving up. But Andy he got a plan. He got a plan for her because the whole time, Kyle is still on that shit. She's still on
Yeah.
that damn conveyor
He
belt
saw
going
that
up.
he saw that wax drop and he said,
Oh, and
"Oh."
it did the sizzle like, and
He
he's
went,
like, oh,
"Huh."
yep. So he opens that valve and the hot metal plastic it is boiling.
By
It's boiling
far
to
the
shit.
best screams on film ever. Brad
Yeah.
Dourif is Chucky because he was hollering his ass
He
off.
was hollering. So finally, Andy he stops the belt. No, he don't. He actually don't stop it. He climbs up there and like wakes
Shakes
her
her.
up. Like he pulls her up, and she's like, "Oh my gosh! Like what the hell?" So, woo, we're again. They're like, woo, viewers. We are like, who? But
Why
no,
did she walk over to it?
yes, we got to make sure he's dead, right? Like we have to make sure he's dead, and he is still not dead.
And he looks like the Toxic Avenger mixed with a Garbage Pail Kid.
He is.
Because
I
he's
mean,
got
it's
that melted eye and shit.
and it's like rubbing down. Like it looks scary. It looks terrible. But there's like this little air hose that's by,
Yeah, he
and
cut it.
cut it, and so it's just over there wiggling around. And they put it in his mouth. Put it in his mouth. His head blows up like a damn balloon, and boom,
Chunks everywhere.
chunks everywhere. It's in their hair, everything. Like, So finally, we're like, and then they walking out of play
It's
pals.
it's the morning.
It's the morning. They buy that creepy ass sign.
That sign is creepy as fuck.
And Andy's like, so where we gonna go? They're like, we're gonna go home. Where's home?
Yep.
And at this point, Kyle's like, I don't know, man. Like
It's you and me, kid.
it's you and me, kid. I don't know.
I mean, she
And
about to be an adult. It's you and me.
yes, and I feel like that if they would have continued,
I know.
if they would have like they left off, they honestly, I mean, here's the thing: they left off where if they would have left the franchise completely alone and ended it there, I think we would have been okay.
I just feel like it was just so like, especially this is the 90s, right? So like, let's see. Part 3 came out 9 months later, but this was like right before Party of Five and the whole like teenagers taking care of their siblings boom, as I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
In the 90s, remember that? How like every show had like teenagers with no parents taking care of their younger siblings.
Absolutely.
I would have loved to have seen Kyle and Andy still running from Chucky, both knowing what they know.
Yeah, because it was a hell of a duo. And where they went, but what we got for 3 was so different. So even though 3 is my favorite, it still was just like, oh man, once you go back and you watch 1 and you watch the direct continuation with 2, there wasn't like the story was kind of airtight.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many continuity issues. There wasn't too many plot holes. Like the story was solid. So if they would have continued on the same beat of like we're going to continue a year from where 2 left off.
Yeah, see, and Don Mancini has taken full responsibility for wanting to do something different by aging Andy up and it just not working because it just didn't. And like Alex Vincent was like 10 when 9 when part 3 came out and they had Andy being like 16 at this point, 16, 17. It just they went 10 years ahead. Like it just wasn't gonna work. Like you jump, I'm sorry, 8 years. They jumped from 1990 to 1998 and it just
And
Like I
then
said,
on
he's
top of that, like, and we'll get into it more when we do talk about three.
next
But
week. Yes,
the opening scene for three picks up right after two. So then why would y'all think in y'all dumbass mind to age Andy when you literally
but that's the
showed?
thing though. The opening scene in 3 isn't picking up right after 2. It
Oh,
literally
no, it
is
was. It
8
was because
years later.
there was a lot of cobwebs around. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's
I
just
just assumed because the body was still there, like the
yeah, like
metal.
it just didn't. It has so many just plot holes you could drive a truck through. But we'll get to that. I actually like just watched it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
watch it again, but I just watched it the other day, and I'm
yeah,
just like, I keep trying to tell everyone always says, "Oh, I love 3. I love 3. It's the one that got me started," and I just can't get into it. But I did. I was watching Kill Count, Dead Meat James, because I love him,
hmm hmm
and he was saying that like a lot of people feel like the character of Tyler was too old to play that type of wide-eyed innocence, right?
Oh yeah.
Don Mancini himself said that he felt like it didn't read well on film. Now, this is what I didn't know, and he said that uh, Debbie James was saying that at the time, Tyler's character was supposed to be 8, and the boy that played Tyler was like 8, 9 years old.
Okay.
So he said himself, he said, I don't know if it's just an inherent bias that I have that makes me feel like he's too old to play with dolls. And I thought it was an interesting perspective
Yeah.
because as Black children, we are always seen as too old to be doing things. Like I
Yeah.
had to check my own bias for me. Like, is that the reason why I feel like he just was a little too young
Okay.
and naive? Is it an internal bias that I have when I see Black children? Because we don't get to grow up the same way that white children do, right?
Right. You're right. Yep.
But the more that I've watched it and the more I reflect on it, I still hate it. And I don't think it's the fact that Tyler reads too young.
hmm
I think the dialogue is too young for his age
Yeah. Yeah.
because Alex Vincent had better dialogue at 6 than this kid
Yeah.
had at 8.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like they, in to just be honest, to swap out another kid for another kid because you have to keep that innocence that Chucky
Yeah.
is
I
looking
just,
for. I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy it with him. I didn't buy
he
it.
just, I'm sorry. Like, and I hate to say it this way, like, and I know it's not going to go over, but whatever. I mean, I got to be true to myself. Me growing up the way that I did not relate to this character, Black character. I didn't. I too have a squeaky white person voice. It's whatever. But
hmm
there's just something about this particular child that I just could not relate to. And I've always seen myself in like media. When I see a Black person on screen, I'm like, hey, what's up?
hmm
But there's something about the character of Tyler that is a total disconnect. And I don't know if it's because they completely erased his culture
hmm
in this particular film. Like, because there's nothing is ever referenced about Tyler and his race or his culture or his background except for Chucky saying, hey, I'm going to be a bro.
Yeah.
Like, we don't
Yeah.
even we know nothing about, like,
No
and he's the
backstory.
only
No
Black person
nothing.
that we see there,
Yeah.
right? So it's like he's
Mm.
obviously well off. He's in the military academy,
hmm
right? Like they buzz cut his hair like everybody else, but it's like, what is it? There's just a disconnect with me and this Tyler character, and I
hmm
keep wanting to like it, but I don't have any connection to any of the characters. It's just Tyler's
hmm
voice is very grating to me.
hmm
Every time he says, "Oh wow, I want to punch something," I don't know what it is, but I didn't relate to De Silva. I didn't relate to Andy. I didn't relate to his roommate. I didn't relate to I related to no one in this movie. And then you go from these other two fabulous movies where you can relate to Andy, or you can relate to Maggie, or you can relate to his mom, or you can relate to being the skeptic. You can relate to Kyle, and to have no one that was relatable in this movie, it just
Yeah.
I keep wanting to love it,
Yeah. It
but I
seemed like
it doesn't.
it kind of seemed like it was a bit of a cash grab at this point. We're establishing Child's Play as a franchise.
They definitely rushed it, and Don Mancini himself said that he was writing the script when they were filming too. So like they the 9 months. I mean, it pulled a Scream 3. Let's call it what it is. When you rush the product, this is what happens.
Yeah, because it wasn't the fact that we got an older Andy, because I would have loved to see what Andy was been up to, but to have it right after two when he was 8 years old, I just there was the disconnect was just wild.
And I understand that the kid that played older Andy was in Serial Mom, and I like that movie. He was
Yeah,
good in that movie.
yeah.
He was not good as Andy Barclay. He was so boring. Andy Barclay at age 6 had more charisma in his pinky toe than this
Hmm.
kid had as a teenager. He was
Hmm.
boring.
Yeah, yeah.
The
It
it,
just,
like honestly, the best part of that movie, anybody that had any spunk of charisma was Chucky and the barber. That was it. Everyone else was just there.
I mean, I feel like at this point, Brad Dourif as Chucky starts to really shine, and
I
he
hate him in this
also
movie.
goes to work. He goes to work in this movie. But
I
we'll definitely we can talk about that. So we can go in
yes,
depth about that so much. We will save that for next week. But
yes.
as far as with two, Child's Play at this point is a solid sequel. It's a solid sequel to the
Yeah,
first one.
Child's Play 2 is what sequel dreams are made of.
Yep.
They just are
Everything was
because
on point. Like the writing was on point, the acting was on point,
and
the
can we talk about
cinematography was on point,
the score?
the score was on
The
point too.
score I want to start from because the marketing campaign is an award-winning marketing campaign with him stepping on the Jack in the Box, which the director also pitched.
Hmm.
So let's just start there. The ad campaign of Chucky stepping on the Jack in the Box and cutting the Jack in the Box seems just so fitting, right? And then you kind of throw it away in the back of your mind, but when you really start to piece into the movie that the score is
Hmm.
Jack in the Box music,
Yeah, that's
I love
brilliant.
it. I
That is
love the
brilliant.
music box. The music
It's
box
brilliant.
score and credits are just so
Do,
creepy.
do, 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 do. I just
Yes.
love it. Oh my
Because
god,
you
I
had
love
that
it. I love
because the first movie had that amazing like theatrical
it. Yeah.
classical score, and then you get this child like Jack in the Box.
Hmm.
It's jarring, but it's so fucking good.
It's great. It's
It's
great.
so fucking good.
Yep. Yep.
I love it.
Yes, it was, the score was great. It just was so good. It was just so damn good. And like, I mean, it did very well at the box office. They grossed 35 point what something million on a $13 million budget. So
Yes.
that alone lets you know they're going to make another one. We're not going to stop the money train. We're not going to stop the money train at all. But they went off the rails. They went off the rails for three. And we will definitely talk about that in three. And we have to, I'm going to put a pin in this right now, but I do want to talk about the idea because I was doing a little bit of research on just the whole Child's Play franchise in a whole. And I really hate that we did not get that crossover with Freddie and Chucky.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
supposed to be Child's Play on Elm Street. Like that was supposed to be that was the
Yeah.
was thrown out there. So, but we'll put a pin in that and talk about that next week too. Because Child's Play 3 is the last movie in the franchise to have the Child's Play name in it.
Yes, it is.
Which
So
is I'm fine with that.
before we go, I have to hit y'all with some trivia about Child's Play 3.
Mm-hmm.
So Child's Play 3, which May was talking about in the first movie about how it was how Child's Play was blamed for a set of murders. So this actually was Child's Play 3 that did it.
Mm.
Okay, and this is in the UK. And they were there's two 10-year-old boys who said they were imitating the scene from Child's Play 3, the war game scene,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um it led to a lot of new legislation in British film industry. Everybody knows about the video nasties and all that stuff, but they kind of tightened the belt even more. And then it later came out that one of the sons had never even seen the movie. He wasn't even with his father when his father rented the movie,
Mm.
and that the boy didn't even like horror movies.
Mm.
So it's just one of those like sensationalized things that happen sometimes with horror. And
Mm-hmm.
Child's Play took a hit overseas for it, and in fact, they refused to show it in Spain as well.
Yeah.
So, and then the other great trivia fact is if you are a big amusement park fan and you know about Halloween Horror Nights, Universal Studios, because Universal does own, the Child's Play franchise from 2 on.
Mm.
In 2009, they used the carnival scene maze in part 3
Yeah.
as one of their horror mazes titled Chucky's Funhouse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I always thought that was really cool. But Chucky has actually been a part of the Universal Hollywood Horror Nights since 1992. My favorite is the Chucky in your face insults, where he's in this toy box and people walk by and he talks shit to him. If you've never seen those clips, please look them up on YouTube. They are fucking hilarious. But he just insults the shit out of people in the scare zones,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is
Mm-hmm.
hilarious. And Chucky's actually coming back, which I think this is so fitting. Chucky actually will be back at Halloween Horror Nights this year,
Okay.
and as one of the houses, and I think that that's great because I'm gonna go one day. I am,
Yeah.
but I watch the clips religiously, like, every year on YouTube. It's a really really fun thing. If you are interested in Hollywood Horror Nights, a lot of your favorite horror movie franchises are a part of the Universal family and a part
Okay.
of the Horror Nights. I would suggest you look up his name is, was it, it's Expedition Exploration. I want to be sure because his channel is fabulous and he has an actual playlist
Okay.
of
I'm gonna write that
Hollywood Horror Nights
down.
from the
Okay.
beginning, like from like the first one on.
Yeah.
All of the haunts, all of the characters, all the original characters, all that shit.
Okay.
Let me look it up for you because I said I just want to be sure. And he also covers, this channel also covers like old abandoned amusement parks. His episode on Geauga Lake is very good.
Ooh. Okay.
Um, which, they're turning Geauga Lake into like a beach
No, I didn't know that.
next year.
Okay.
Because I'm like 20 minutes from, like 20-30 minutes from Geauga Lake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought that was really weird that that's what they're doing. This is sad when you have so many playlists that you have to like search, because I actually have the playlist
Right.
saved somewhere and now I can't find it. I'm finding y'all. Y'all know I'd be slow on the take. Y'all gotta give me a minute. This is what happens when you get old. His name is Expedition Theme Park. That's the YouTube channel.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna write that down.
Expedition Theme Park. If you go to his playlist, you're gonna have to scroll a little bit because he has like playlists on Disney, like Las Vegas. He even has like videos about parks that are supposed to be built in Las Vegas, like everything. But if you scroll down, his playlist is called The Complete History of Hollywood Horror Nights Orlando, and there's 17 videos. It's that deep. And he goes all the way from the first one ever all the way up until the last one. And then every year he does, since, well, even though the pandemic happened, he does go through Halloween Horror Nights every year. So
Okay.
you can even find last year's.
You said
um
Expedition Theme Parks?
yes, Expedition Theme Park. He's major. He's got like 250K subscribers, 233 videos. You will find, like, I didn't even know they had a Fast and the Furious roller coaster. I never knew there was a Saw roller coaster. Like,
I
there's
did
so
hear
much.
about I did hear about that Saw one. I'm like, God damn, I gotta see that
Yeah, there's so much. But if you go through and search it, like that playlist, you'll get the whole history. And like I said, he's even as recent as last October's Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm
one.
excited to see what he posts this year. I know he's going. He has the RIP pass, so he actually goes through the tour and everything with you,
Oh, okay.
and you
That's
get to see all the houses. Like, it's fascinating.
yeah, that's cool. That's
It's so
cool.
fascinating. And then I didn't know Knott's Berry Farm had
Mm.
started their own back in the day.
Okay, I didn't know that either. Hmm.
Like, the horror community is just, it's so rich.
It is. It really is.
It's
It's a
so
fun
rich.
community to be a part of. It's so
It
fun.
is. It really is. And all I'm hoping is that this freaking, I just want this strike to end well for the people involved.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, that means I have to boycott Saw
Yeah.
10. And I don't want to, but I will. Just
Yeah.
like I haven't gone to see Barbie.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's so weird. Like, my political beliefs won't allow me to do it, but I can't.
Yeah. Because I mean, at the end of the day, the big corporation, the networks, they win. So
Well,
it's
not
what.
only that, but I mean, like, they win, and then I kind of feel like I don't need to support Barbie because they have one black character, especially with all of the commotion with the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to support that. So I feel like I'm going to sit this one out. This one's not for me.
Yeah. I'm not rushing. I definitely haven't rushed to go see Barbie, but I did go see that movie Talk to Me. That's
I heard
why you
that that is
talking
pretty
about
decent.
it was like it was okay, but people is they stretching it. They reaching
Well,
by saying it's the best horror movie of the year.
I
No,
but I'm saying, like, I feel the same way about that as I told y'all about Megan. Like, people are always gonna hype this thing up, and it's something completely different.
I said
But
how?
I feel like A24, especially with them ending the strike in their studio
Yeah, yeah.
and agreeing to those terms, oh yeah, A24 can get my money.
Oh yeah, they did it. I mean, the movie was amazing.
Yeah.
The movie was amazing, but I'm not gonna like. I said, how y'all gonna say this movie is the best horror movie of the year, and we ain't even in spooky season?
Well, they're always gonna say it's the best movie of the year, and judging by what I saw in the Saw 10 trailer,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be my pick. And I'm not even a prequel fan, but
Yeah,
there's something about knowing about John Kramer. I just always want to know more.
John Kramer is very. He is he is one of my favorite villains, but he's also one of the scariest villains because this nigga got nothing but time. He's very patient,
See,
and
and
he's very vengeful.
I don't look at him as a villain. And when we finally get into the series,
Yeah,
I look at him as an anti-hero. I have never seen John Kramer go after anybody who didn't deserve it.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I really I'm fascinated by him as a character, and not even as Jigsaw because
No, just as John Kramer.
John Kramer, he is a man with a purpose.
And not even that, but like, can we just speak to the fact that this is a legendary actor who is older, and you don't see many old people being the lead
Yeah,
in anything in Hollywood. And the fact that
Tobin Bell is he does it.
Tobin Bell has made this whole second life as John Kramer.
He does it for me. He does it for me. He's up
He's,
there with Robert England.
I hate to say it, but there's just
Stewart.
something very, very sexy about John Kramer.
Mm,
Is it just me?
mm. He got something.
I find him very oddly like Silver Foxish.
He is. He will take. I feel like he'll take. He's very like big on family. He's big on life. He's big on
Well, I mean, if you think about what happened when Amanda and her boyfriend fucked up Jill,
Oh
like
yeah.
that's the kind of man I want. Like
Yep. Yep.
he said, not my baby.
Not my baby. Nope. Nope. Yeah. But we'll get to that because
But yes,
that's definitely I'm on anticipation. I can't even say the word. I'm on
yeah, I'm telling you, John Kramer, okay, and Tony Todd as Candyman and Robert England are like
hmm
the
Man,
sexy old man trifecta.
I know, man. Like we gotta meet them. We have to like. I'm really like. I have to meet them in some
I
type of lifetime.
I'm telling you right now, when I saw Robert England with my own two eyeballs on a
Mm,
panel,
mm,
I really, if I wasn't pregnant,
mm.
I probably would have tried to throw my bra at him. Like he had that type of appeal. Like he had the little taco meat out with the gold chain.
Oh, Chain, yes.
He
Oh,
had on like the Cartier glasses. Like he had the
he's
bracelet on.
cool. He's
Like
cool.
even at 70 some years old, that man is still yummy. I don't know what
He's
it is.
definitely like, and the fact that he's he's one for the people. Like he's one for the fans. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he really loves the fans.
There's just something about old men with swagger.
Yeah. They
There's not too many of them.
they're
Because
not
older
trying to
men like usually creep me out.
yeah. But they're
And
not
Tony,
trying to be like they're not trying to be young. They're not trying to appeal to nobody.
no.
They just trying to age gracefully.
And Tony Todd is just so dignified. Like I just want to sit with him
Yep.
and have a shot of espresso and talk about black film and cinema and just learn.
Yeah.
Tony Todd is teach me daddy. I don't know what it is.
Like, I just want to listen to him talk.
I just want to listen to him talk. Keith David too. I just want to
Ooh,
listen to Keith
good.
David talk because Keith David, especially in ATL,
Yes, like I just want to hear him talk. Like
these old horror men, man. Look, these young ones. The only young one that I feel like that about is Bill Skarsgård.
who is that? No, what's he
It,
in? Oh, okay, okay,
it's Pennywise.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, okay,
He
okay.
has the same like Tim
Creepy.
Curry shit going on. But yes,
Yeah.
I'm excited. but not excited to get through next week. But I said, Kimay, that's your favorite movie. I'm excited to get to Bride. Like I would go through hell and high fire to get to
We get
Bride.
to
Okay.
ride. Ooh, like I feel like each movie in this franchise, we step up to like something new. And Bride came quite some time after three, and that at the time was like that. That's kind of like unheard of, where it's like the franchise was dead and they revived it
Oh yeah.
because Bride still goes hard today,
In the
right?
paint.
Like it goes hard, but we will
In the paint.
definitely get to that. But I'm anticipating every week because we get into some mess. It is so great. It's so great. I'm so excited to talk
But
about.
we love and appreciate you all. We thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking our things and sharing them.
Oh,
And
every week.
every week, we really appreciate it. So hopefully we will see you guys next week. And we love and adore and appreciate you. Okay.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
will see you next week for Child's Play 3.
All right.
All right. Bye.